In Spanish, there are two verbs that mean to know, saber y conocer, but they're not synonyms, meaning you can't use them in place of one another. There are certain instances in which you would use saber, and in certain ones in which you would use conocer. And before I go any further with that, saber and conocer, they are both irregular in their yo forms, and everywhere else they're regular, meaning that they, when you conjugated verbs in the present tense and they were regular, you were supposed to take their endings off, like you would take the ER off and the ER off here, and then you would add the ER endings, which are O, ESE, EMOS, EIS, and EN, which you did. You did that, it's just in the yo form, you didn't add just an O or even an O. The yo form of saber changes to say, and the yo form of conocer, you have to add a Z between the C and the O before you add the O ending. So anyway, I'll go through and repeat them. Saber, say, sabes, sabe, sabemos, sabéis, saben. Conocer, conozco, conoces, conoce, conocemos, conocéis, conocen. Okay. So then we're going to go over when you use saber and when you use conocer, and then we'll go through and do practice. Okay. So saber means to know a fact or to have knowledge or information about someone or something. So, ¿sabes dónde está el cine? Do you know where the movie theater is? No sé, I don't know. So that's knowing information. Often when you see a question word, whoops, that didn't do what I wanted it to. Often when you see a question word, and you're trying to decide whether you should use saber or conocer, if there's a question word beside your blank, like donde, quién, etc., then you're going to use saber, because knowing where something is or knowing whenever you use those question words, you're knowing information or a fact about something. Saber also gets used with an infinitive to let you know how to do. So if you want to express that you know how to do something, like la tía Berta sabe bailar tango, she knows how to dance tango, then you're going to use saber. Or if you wanted to say, like I know how to ride a bike, yo sé cómo montar una bicicleta, or montar en bicicleta, then you would use saber. Saber can be followed with an interrogative word or sí, which we had just talked about. So if there's an interrogative word or sí, if you're going to use saber. ¿Sabes dónde está la fiesta? Do you know where the party is? No sé si mis padres quieren salir esta noche. I don't know if my parents want to go tonight. That's also knowing. It still kind of goes back up here. It's knowing information. Conocer is to be acquainted or familiar with a person or place. So if you're asking someone if they know, tía conoce a mis abuelos, you're saying she knows my grandparents. Conozco San Salvador. I'm familiar with San Salvador, or I'm acquainted with San Salvador. Also, you use the personal a with conocer if you know a person, a specific person, because la profesora conoce a mis tíos, we would have the personal a there. So if you see this little a beside your blank and there's a person listed right after it, you are more than likely going to use conocer, okay? And they've written them out here, and rather than just having the sentences, they've made a little chart that's a little easier to know. Saber, knowing fact or information, knowing a skill or how to do something, may be followed by an infinitive, an interrogative word, or sí. Okay, conocer is knowing people or a place. It's never followed by an infinitive or sí. Okay, so let's pull up practice. Okay, so let's do this practice first. The one on this side, I'm going to pull that up separate. So here, we've already got the verbs conjugated for us, and we've got to decide which one we want to use to answer our question. So it says, conoces, sabes al estudiante nuevo. Well, what you see here is al. Okay, al is a plus el, so it's that little personal a. So if I go back over here, oops. Okay, so you were told use the personal a with conocer. Okay, so if I've got the personal a right here, then that means that conocer is the answer that I'm going to put. Conoces al estudiante nuevo. Conocemos, sabemos los nombres de todos los países de Europa. So what do I know here? I know the names of all the countries of Europe. That's knowing information. So if I know a fact or information, that would be saber. Sabemos. Okay. Yo conozco sé hablar japonés muy bien. What I know to do really well is to speak Japanese really well. If you know how to do something or have a skill, that's supposed to be saber. And also, saber can be followed by an infinitive, where conocer is never followed by an infinitive. Hablar is an infinitive, and it's right next to the verb that you're choosing. So you would have to pick say, because you can't have conocer next to the infinitive. ¿Conoce, sabe usted dónde está la biblioteca? Here I've got an interrogative word. Do you know where the library is located? If it's an interrogative word, maybe followed by an infinitive or an interrogative word, you're supposed to use saber, and that's also knowing information, knowing where it's located. Marta y Alicia conocen, saben bailar salsa. Again, I've got an infinitive. Saber may be followed by an infinitive, but conocer is never followed by an infinitive, so I would pick saben here. Juan conoce, sabe San Salvador. So what I'm trying to say here is that he knows a place. So knowing people or a place is conocer. Knowing how to get to that place would be saber. Yo conozco, sé dónde viven ellos. Again, I've got an interrogative word here. So remember that saber can be followed by an infinitive, an interrogative word, or sí, but not conocer. So it should be sé. Yo conozco dónde viven ellos. Nosotros conocemos, sabemos a todos los profesores de la Facultad de Arte. Again, I've got a personal a. And it's knowing people, but if you remember from over here, use the personal a with conocer. So then it should be conocemos. Oops. Okay. Let's do another practice. Okay, so this time we actually have to conjugate. So there's a conversation going on between Marcela y Carmiña. Marcela says, tú blank a Julia también. So she's asking, Marcela is asking if Carmina knows Julia as well. Again, you've got the personal a right here. So with having the personal a there, that means that you are going to pick conocer. Okay, and the subject, you want to know, you're asking you, do you know Julia also? So if it's you, if I go down here, here's you, and I go across, oops. Okay, so here's you, and I go across to conocer. What I would want is this conoces. Okay, then Carmiña says, no, yo no la blank personalmente. So no, I don't what her personally. I don't know her, so we're still using conocer because we're saying we don't know a person. The her is the law right here. So if it's yo, then you would pick say. I'm sorry, not say. You would pick, if it's yo and we're still doing conocer, you would pick conozco. Pero yo no la conozco personalmente, pero blank que ella es hondureña. So if you have an interrogative word, well, actually it's not an interrogative word there, but what you're saying is that you know that she is Honduran. That's knowing information about her. So this time we want saber. And so this time If it's saber and it's yo, it's going to be sé. Todos ellos blank que ella toca muy bien el charango. So everybody knows that she plays the charango well. So that's not knowing a person or a place. It's knowing information about her. So again, that's going to be saber. And who is it that knows this information? Ellos. Ellos, they know. So if you go down here, and I gotta remember to know it. Saben. Okay. Ramona blank que Julia vive en el progreso. So Ramona knows that Julia lives in el progreso. So what does she know? She knows that Julia lives in el progreso. That again is knowing information about her. And it's Ramona who knows this. So it would be sabe. Sí es verdad, su familia es muy famosa. Julio y Ramona blank a sus padres. Here again, I've got that personal a. And if you remember, personal a always goes with conocer, which maybe I should go ahead and type that in. Okay. So therefore, it would be conocer, and it's Julia y Ramona. So it's ellos. So if I go down here to ellos and I go across, it would be conocen. Oh, right up here, sorry. Okay, pero no blank donde viven. This is an interrogative word. If you look, saber goes with interrogative words. Conocer never goes with interrogative words. So this should be saber. And again, it's still them because it's Julia Ramona know her parents, but they don't know where they live. So it's Julia y Ramona that don't know where they live. So here's saber. It should be saben this time. Roberto quiere invitarla a una fiesta, pero no blank si puede ir. We've got if there. Remember, conocer may be followed by an interrogative word and it got cut off, or si. But conocer is never followed by an infinitive or si. So then it has to be saber, and it's Roberto that doesn't know if she can go, which is he. So your answer would be sabe. Okay. Tú blank a sus padres. Again, I've got the personal a. Personal a goes with conocer, and it's you. Do you know her parents? So if I go over here, I would want conoces. Si blank a los padres. So again, it would be conocer, and this would be conozco. Pero no blank su número de teléfono. So what I don't know is her phone number, and that's not knowing information. So that would be saber. Blank, ¿cuántos años tiene Julia? Again, that here we're saying Carmina is asking Marcela if she knows how old Julia is. So that would be knowing information about her. So it would be saber. ¿Sabes cuántos años tiene Julia? No, I don't know. Still saber. What I don't know are how old she is. Pero blank es muy joven. But I do know how that she's very young, which is still knowing information.